approach Easter, I wanted to post some thoughts and reflections on Jesus' ministry during his last days. Today's reading is from John chapter 2, verses 13 to 22. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And within the temple grounds he found those who were selling oxen, sheep, and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. And he made a whip of cords and drove them all out of the temple area with the sheep and the oxen, and he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And to those who were selling the doves he said, "Take these things away from here. Stop making my Father's house a place of business." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign do you show us as your authority for doing these things?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "It took 46 years to build this temple, and yet you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking about the temple of his body. So when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he said this, and they believed the scriptures and the word which Jesus had spoken. Jews had been expecting the Messiah to come and restore the Jewish nation and make it big again by fighting against the Romans. Observing Jesus' miracles, some might have hoped that Jesus would be able to restore their Jewish kingdom. But Jesus' mission, the reason why he came, was to restore the entire humanity and to reconcile all of us with God. He came not to save those who thought they were the elite or God's chosen people, or the rich and the powerful, but to save those whose hearts were hungry to know him and follow him. Not those who put their hope and strength in themselves and what they had, but those who had no hope in anything else but God. When Jesus came to the temple during Passover, the temple courtyard was being used by the moneylenders and traders who were selling sacrificial animals for huge sums of money. It wasn't the fact that people were doing trade, but where they were doing it, and more importantly, the fact that they were exploiting those who came to worship, that made Jesus angry. The whole purpose of the temple as a place of getting close to God, and the whole purpose of pilgrimage and worship at the temple to honor God and praise him, were reduced to a marketplace where traders could deceive and drain money of those who came to worship. Jesus confronted those who used religion for their own gain. What went on in the temple was destroying and defiling what God had built. But there was one indestructible temple, which was Jesus himself, who would come back to life on the 3rd day, never to be destroyed again. Which is why Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." God, we thank you for Jesus. We thank you that he is our indestructible temple. He is our worship place. Teach us to use our bodies, our own temple, to worship him in spirit and in truth.